At one time, if we used the phrase, "it's a dog's life," we would mean that something is difficult, miserable, and boring. While that would have accurately described the life of the average dog hundreds of years ago, it is no longer appropriate. Most of us would now envy a dog's life, being fed, cared for, and pampered, while being expected to do nothing in return. A dog's life now appears to be a never-ending supply of treats for doing nothing. In the dog ownership world, the word treat seems to be a euphemism for a snack. Companies manufacture, package, and then sell bite-sized foodstuffs for dogs that they label as treats. The most common explanation for these commercially produced products is that they are used to help train your dog. They are marketed as food incentives or positive reinforcers in a training regime. And I am willing to accept that a very tiny percentage of so-called treats are used in this way. I have seen working dogs being trained, and it is usual for a desired response from the dog to be rewarded with a food incentive. This makes it more likely that the dog will respond in a similar way in the future. Most of these commercial dog snacks are of animal origin, so it's not much of a treat for the poor pigs, chickens, rabbits, cows, sheep, and turkeys that had their lives stolen so that dogs could have a snack that they neither need nor deserve. What I have also seen is for dogs to be given food snacks for basically doing almost any old thing. The dog sits down, it deserves a treat. It stands up and deserves a treat. When a dog lies down, walks around, barks, doesn't bark, turns around, enters a room, licks your face, destroys your sofa, does anything, then it deserves a treat. Usually, these same random behaviors warrant an exclamation of "good boy" or "good girl." The food reward and the vocal praise are the trappings or techniques of training, but they are the opposite of training. It is a type of pseudo-training carried out in a world of wishful thinking. There is wishful thinking that the dog can understand human language. There is wishful thinking that a dog can link a past reaction with a present reward. There is wishful thinking that a dog understands the concept of cause and effect. Dogs understand none of these things, so if the provision of treats trains the dog in anything, it is trained in random behavior. I have recognized that a tiny percentage of dog treats are used consciously and scientifically to train certain behaviors such as walking to heel, sitting on command, and reliable recall. The dogs that spoil our leisure spaces, jump on us, threaten and attack us, run into and chase traffic, attack livestock, kill children, and do all of the 1,000,001 things that make life unpleasant are not trained to walk to heel, sit on command, or return when called. But they still get treats nonetheless. Why do dogs get treats? I have already discussed training and incompetent training in which the dog owner copies the techniques of training with none of the results. When we see dogs getting treats, the impression it brings is that they must be worth it or must have deserved it. Making a show of giving dogs treats helps to cement the belief that the domestic dog is an exceptional species. In many religions, it is common to provide food and drink offerings to the deities or to their representatives to thank them, reward them, or to curry future favor or influence. Giving treats to your dog mirrors this religious practice. I know that extremists who adore dogs get annoyed with the concept of dog worship, but it is impossible to ignore the parallels with religion when they repeatedly tell us that there is no such thing as a bad dog. We don't deserve dogs, or it's not the dog, it's the owner. To say that there is no such thing as a bad dog implies canine infallibility, and only gods are infallible. We don't deserve dogs implies some kind of gift from a non-human source, perhaps a gift from the gods. It's not the dog, it's the owner, compares the weakness of humans to the moral strength of the dog, and this is a common concept in religion. The often repeated assertion that dog is God backwards is further indication that the relationship in many cases is between the worshipper and the worshipped. I have discussed this in my video entitled Dog is God. We give our children treats for their achievements, for things they have done for us, for milestones in their lives, or because they have triumphed through a hard time. And we give them treats because we love each other. Dog worshippers constantly remind us that their dogs are the same as children, or that they are literally children in the form of fur babies, or that they are far superior to children. With that in mind, surely they are entitled to give treats to their dogs for the same reasons that we give treats to our children. There are 3 problems here. The biggest one is that dogs are not children and bear no relationship to children. See my video called Missopedia and Comparing Dogs to Children. The second problem is that dogs get treats for carrying out basic metabolic processes, not for any achievements or for their altruism. A dog and their owner cannot love each other because a dog is not capable of love. Any love is one-sided, unrequited, and illusory. The third problem is that if we as parents took the lead of dog worshippers in treat giving, then both we and our offspring would be subject to criticism. If parents gave their children random food treats throughout the day, then they would be criticized for endangering the health of their child by promoting obesity, dental caries, and type 2 diabetes. If parents had to give their children constant treats in order for the child to love them or to behave, then the child would be labeled a spoiled, selfish brat. The type of false love would be labeled cupboard love, and the parent would be labeled as feckless and weak. I will repeat here that dogs are incapable of human-type love, conditional or unconditional. That doesn't stop dog worshippers wanting to chase the bright, elusive butterfly of love. They will interpret any dog behavior as love. They crave it. They are desperate for it. By giving treats, they hope to elicit love from the dog as a reward for their gift. They want to show the dog that they are both loving and deserving of love. They also want to show the dog that it is deserving of their love. I feel a little bit embarrassed saying these things because they sound crazy, but it comes from dog worshippers themselves. They are not shy about expressing their love for a predatory carnivore that does nothing. It sounds crazy when they say it as well. When I was puzzling over the reasons why dog worshippers constantly give dogs treats, I first of all considered the human experience of gifts and treats. One of the reasons we give treats is because we love and admire the recipient. Dog owners do love their dogs, but why? For the answer to why people loved their dogs, I went to the most appropriate sources. I searched for why dogs are wonderful. I got hundreds of thousands of results from people desperate to tell me why dogs are so wonderful. Many of these responses were in the form of lists. From reading a number of these lists, I discerned a pattern of selfishness, triviality, pseudoscience, and false claims. There was no evidence. There were no peer-reviewed scientific studies. There was opinion, and there were anecdotes. Some of the lists tried a humorous approach in which dangerous and destructive dog behaviors were presented as charming facets of a dog's supposedly sophisticated and multifaceted personality. One website had a short video of a dog stealing food from someone's table with the caption, "Dogs are smart." I suppose many criminals could be described as smart, but we don't admire their socially destructive behavior. These lists told me nothing of value. I still don't understand why people love dogs. Dog worshippers are unable to tell me. All of this might seem trivial. What does it matter if people want to give dogs treats? It's a free country, let them do it. The reason it is not trivial is that it is but one thread of a tapestry of stupid belief systems. It is part of the dumbing down of society, the move from democracy to idiocracy, a state of despair in which people are prepared to believe almost anything. When people are willing to believe, against all evidence, that dogs are noble, faithful creatures, then they are ready to go along with anything without question, without criticism, and without protest.